Y'all ready?
Check on that.
Y'all ready? Okay. All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to our meeting this morning, our agenda meeting. To start off, we'll do the pledge and the prayer. So, Mr. Lee, would you lead the pledge, and Tom, would you lead the prayer?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father,
Who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
Okay, the first item on the agenda, waiver for temporary accessory structures for recreational vehicle/travel trailer property owners permitted in special flood hazard areas. You want to go over that, Carol?
Yes, so we've been having a few phone calls for damaged properties that have, their homes are damaged, uninhabitable, or totally, removed from the property, and now they're living in recreational vehicles, travel trailers. So our ordinance, is kind of restrictive to these buildings, accessorizing an RV, which our ordinance does not really allow that. So, we would like to see if you would consider allowing this temporary waiver. It would be for an 18-month term from the date of the disaster. So, we would like for, it has to be a person that is residing on the property. So, like making repairs to your house, you can have a Connex box, portable building, or if you just have an RV on the property that you're residing in. So it's strictly for them two purposes. It's not for a vacant lot. So we would like your consideration to approve this. This would help out the residents. So if y'all have any questions?
Well, if y'all don't mind, I got plenty of phone calls about that, and people wanting to bring Connex boxes in. Actually, I had to, after Rita, to put my lawnmower and tools and everything in until I had my place fixed back.
Right,
So,
they need a place to store their personal belongings.
right.
We know the need is there, so this waiver will expire February 27th of next year, so.
And then we could work on maybe amending our ordinance on this.
That will be
So.
something we will work with FEMA to see. We know now, it's passing legislation that you can now homestead an RV. So we're gonna bring that to their attention to maybe see if, based off of that law, they may give us a certain size limit for storage building with just an RV on the property.
Well, that's a good thing. So FEMA says you can now homestead an RV?
Not FEMA.
I mean, not FEMA, who?
Scott, are you here? Yeah. Do you want to talk?
Oh, Scotty, okay.
and this is something the permitted office supports.
Yes, we do.
Good morning, Jim.
Morning.
Yes, back in 13, we had an Attorney General opinion that allowed RVs to be homestead in our parish. There's a copy of the Attorney General letter and a copy of the form that needs to be filled out with our office. And
So this opinion supersedes the parish's ordinance?
I would imagine.
Lee, that's
Because our office has been,
travel trailer instead of a house.
Yeah.
yes, sir, our office has been doing this already.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
It's just your taxes. We're going to pay taxes.
We're just gonna bring this up to FEMA's attention to say, well, you say an RV is only temporary use for living, well, now, you know,
The
you can
attorney,
actually homestead a camper, so.
Yeah, because right now, if you have a house, you can have a building outside, so no difference if we put a travel trailer and you can homestead it, why you can't have a building with a travel trailer, you know?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Anybody else?
This isn't on our voting agenda, so if this is something you guys would like to consider, we can do it as an add-on.
Yeah, we need to do that. If y'all could see it.
I do have one question. Is this only for residential, or what about business?
No, this is strictly residential.
Strictly residential? Okay.
I have,
Now, if you have a business, our ordinance allows an accessory building if you have a business.
right, if you have a house, it allows.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say so. Well, call Josh and tell him to bring his Connex box down here, because Carl told me he didn't bring his mosquito box down there or something, because it was a Connex, so.
I have a question, not really with the homestead, but the Connex boxes, have we been regulating that before now?
So, okay, I'm gonna go back to the ordinance. If you have an accessory building and it's below base flood elevations, you have to install both your vents and also submit wind load drawings.
I understand that, but this is not a permanent structure, it's a movable structure.
Right.
And I don't think, as far as I know people brought them in and out at different times, and I never knew there was a permit needed. That's why I'm asking that question.
And you're correct, a lot of people don't realize they need a permit. If they do call the office and say, well, I need power to my storage building. So a lot of times we catch it at that point, but, you are supposed to have a permit.
Okay, and I guess go a step further, if we weren't doing it before and we're doing it now, is this a FEMA has
No,
told
we were
us?
always doing it, Mr. Sun.
Okay, 'cause like I said, I was unaware of it, I don't know about anybody else,
No.
okay.
Anybody else? Have any other questions? Scott, do you have some more that you want to?
Thank you, Scott. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, man. Nobody else has anything, we'll move on to item 4. Logan Pruitt, who's in the company's property insurance quotes.
Man coming with bad news. Never good.
Morning, sir.
Commercial property insurance comes up February 16th. I'm not sure what's in your packet. I sent over a condensed quote comparison and then a longer version that had more detail to it. I'm going to talk just a minute about the commercial property insurance market. We talked last year concerning this. It's hard. In 2008, 2019, the commercial property insurance market hardened. When I say hardened, I mean premiums are going up. I mean coverages are being restricted. We saw that last year. After 7 years of rate going down, last year we saw our premium go up. 2020 did not help the insurance market, especially for coastal property insurance. It's unfortunate, but it did have a negative impact on the market. The company that we have been with since 2012, AmRisk, good company, quality company. What do? They specialize in writing coastal property. That's what they do. Thank God. We need that. They take care of their business. That's who I'm proposing this year. Every year we go into the marketplace. We don't take the current company that we have, take the renewal quote, put it in front of you. We go into the marketplace seeking competitive bids. We approached more than 30 companies this year. AmRisk is the company.
Did you supply that to us?
Yes,
All the bids from all the companies?
I supplied the list of the companies that were approached.
And the bids, what they
They
bid?
did not bid.
Oh, they did not bid.
They did not bid. They were not interested.
Who we have now?
We currently have Amris.
Same company?
Yes, sir. It's the same company that we've had since 2012.
Then, and this year-to-date, difference in the premium, $142,000. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's a big pill to swallow.
36%.
33.98% interest, that's correct.
Not what I figured, 35.9.
Are y'all looking at the quote comparison sheet?
I'm looking at that
Right here.
Yeah, that's on what I
What we
saw.
were paying, we went up 35%.
The back sheet,
You know, truthfully, I'm not buying that 30 companies, you sent it out to it and nobody bid it. They ought to have a letter saying that they didn't want it or something, not just didn't turn in nothing.
So I'm just saying.
I can provide information where we submitted it to the insurance company. And what's happening in the marketplace, they received the submission, we put a packet together with the information on the total insured values, the current premium that's being paid, that sort of thing, the loss history. The underwriters will receive that information and review it, and if they're not interested, they do not provide a quote, whether it's
They don't send a letter, nothing back saying we're not interested?
And a lot of times, they do not respond to the submission that is sent to them.
Is this, that loss ratio, was it post-storm, Laura?
Yes,
No, I agree.
obviously, we have pending claims now, which is Amris. Amris is they're handling the claims. They have a team of professionals involved in that. Adjusters, engineers.
If I may, Logan, Wendy's been working with Logan on insuring all these properties, and she might be able to provide some additional information to you guys before the meeting.
good morning.
As you can see on the schedule, on the back pages, look like this. There are some adjustments that are needing to be made because we do have buildings that are no longer here that we were just kind of going over that this week to make sure that they weren't on the current insurance policy. The insurance that he is suggesting is the same company that we are using now. And I will have to say, the team that he's talking about, they've brought in auditors to go through all our remediation costs, and so make sure that they're not double dipping on the flood and the wind. This is for our wind policy. Cedric was the adjusting company that came in and worked for them. They've done a wonderful job. They have even helped us cover some things, like for our waterworks department, that we didn't even have insured. That, there was so many feet from an insured building of ours, they allowed us to use some of that cost for maybe a lift station or a pump site. Because we had insurance for that entity, they allowed us to use some of that cost, to absorb some of that to help with our insurance. They've done a really, really great job. There will be some adjustment in what y'all see, lower, not higher, because there are some items still on this list that are not here. We just need to make some adjustments.
That's what I'm saying, that's why I guess my next question was gonna be, if we don't put a building back, that's gonna be a deduction in the premium rate, right?
Yes, sir, but I'm trying to take those off now. If we build something back later on, then we can insure that as it goes. There'll be construction insurance, as you well know, and then we'll have an insurance premium for that building once it comes back, if it comes back.
How we pay that premium, once a year?
Yes, sir.
So we're gonna pay the big costs?
We pay the premium, and then we send that out to each entity, and they reimburse us for their stuff.
What I'm-
Any location we will receive, a refund check.
Yes.
Say again?
Any buildings, if we pay the 142, and then, after the renewal date, we drop buildings or change coverage, they always refund us.
Okay. I guess that was my question, my concern. If we don't have a building out there, then
Y'all
we
adjust
ought to not be paying insurance on it.
And this is,
We ain't got a building.
this is an umbrella policy. This covers all of the water districts, the
I
recreation
understand.
districts as well. So it's not gonna, the cost is not gonna 100% be for out of our general fund.
And it doesn't renew till the 15th, so we are trying to make those adjustments before the final number.
Okay.
Okay.
We good? I'm good.
Let me say this too. I agree with what Wendy just said. Our company is taking care of it, which is what we should. That's why we were with this company. But I will say this also. I want to commend Katie and her team because they're staying on top of it too. And we're all in this together, and I'm going to mention something here. I've been involved in the parish's insurance for a number of years. I have a fiduciary duty. I have a strong responsibility. I take pride in it. There's a good faith relationship. There's trust and a duty of care, and I take care of them. And I will say this, I can provide any information to anyone showing what we've done, but I cannot control the commercial property and insurance market. I can negotiate, I can beat on them, and if we ran M-Risk off, we would have no one. That's the simple truth at this point in time. The market will change, yes, sir. It will change. It's not gonna change within a year. I don't think it's gonna change within 2 years, but it will swing. That pendulum will swing. There will be more competition in the coastal marketplace, but right now, there is none. AmRisk has proposed 2 quotes. One is a 3%. What drives our premium, obviously, is the wind exposure, the named storm. That's what they're concerned about. They've offered us a 3% named storm and a 5% named storm. We had 2% last year. It's not on the table. It's not offered. My recommendation is we look at the 3% named storm deductible. That's the $537 premium. The 5% named storm exposes the parish to an additional $1,200,000 in a wind deductible based on a $60 million schedule of values. Savings, $26,000, exposing the parish to another $1.2 million if there's a named storm and we have all of our property damaged. Also mention this, the all other peril deductible, fire, vandalism, lightning strikes, that's $5,000. Okay, that's a low deductible. I have asked the underwriter, and I will have by the 2 o'clock meeting, if we increased that 5,000 to 10,000, or increased it to 25,000, what impact will that have on the premium? I want to see the savings. We need to look. I can tell you right now, I don't think it's going to be substantial because the premium, the load, where this premium, why it's so high is because of the wind. But I want, and the parish should have that as an option to consider and see if it's worthwhile bumping that all other peril deductible from 5 to 10 to 25. But mindful that for a water district, it might, if lightning pops their well, that's 25,000, that's kind of a hard pill to swallow as compared to 5,000. I don't know, but I want to show that as an option. This year, AmRisk is going to inspect every site. The underwriter requires that. There's an inspection fee in here. They've not done this every year. They don't do it every year. They do it every 3 years. Obviously, because of the 2 hurricanes, they want to look at each site. They've been out there before. The some contractor bids. When we start getting contractor bids, they're gonna owe us what it costs to repair or replace that property. Their estimate might be on the table, that doesn't mean that's what they're gonna pay us. They're gonna pay us what it costs to repair or replace the property. And we know what happens after a storm like this, the costs go way up. That's what they're on the line for, up to the limit that we have for that building, for the contents, for that particular location. Questions? Any more questions?
I have a question, but I think more for Katie. I'm looking at page 13 with the changes they made for this renewal. And it talks about deductibles being up to $100,000 per building, am I correct?
The wind deductible for a named storm is 3% of the building value.
Up to $100,000.
$100,000, we have a minimum occurrence deductible of $100,000 with regards to a named storm. Occurrence, an occurrence is an occurrence. You might have one location damaged, or you might have 10, you might have 20. The minimum is an occurrence.
So in other words, we're gonna have to pay the first 100,000?
That's correct.
Yeah, second thing, question again comes to this. Take our barn, for example. I know the Parish barn on the bayou probably not worth $100,000 if you take the land value out of it. So would we actually have any insurance on that?
All of the parish facilities, their amount of coverage is dictated by whether or not we receive federal funds. So any building that we receive FEMA PWs or CDBG funds for, they tell us the minimum value of insurance that we are required to carry.
I guess,
So we can't really fluctuate or lower any coverage on any building in Cameron Parish.
But I'm assuming that we're paying per building, okay? And we're having buildings in there that we may not get funding off of. If the damage is 200,000, we might get 100,000. But I don't see some of these buildings being worth 200,000. I mean, the Grand Lake barn might have been worth that, but I don't think so.
that ain't belong to us. But, yeah, it don't make, I don't know. If you're telling me that you got a building out there and the first $100,000 is your baby, right?
On that occurrence?
On an occurrence basis.
What are you talking about,
Obviously,
occurrence?
if you have a building that's worth 100, or let's just say 50,000, but we have 8 buildings worth 50,000, if they're all damaged in the same occurrence, sure, you're gonna get paid. Not just that one location. If that one location is damaged, and that is the only location that's damaged from a windstorm event, that one building is gonna have a $100,000 deductible. If you have 10 buildings, 12 buildings, 15, that's gonna have a minimum of $100,000 per occurrence.
Per occurrence, per building.
Per occurrence?
Per occurrence.
It's one time.
Excuse me, the 3% is per location based on the building limit.
So that's just named storm?
That's just named storm.
So the bill, so the barn,
Into this cover.
Yes, sir.
so
Yes, sir.
if the barn gets, burned down or something like that, that's
5,000.
5,000.
All perils other than wind, they differentiate between a named storm, which is where that percentage comes into play, and you take your total insured values, and you look at each location, and it's 3% or 5% of that limit for that location. You add all of that up, that's a big number. Take 3% of $60 million, that's a big number, or 5%. But it is subject to a minimum occurrence
Right.
of $100,000.
Is there, stipulations in this policy that says that, one named storm per calendar year? Is there
There, we had in the previous policy a trailing deductible, okay? What does that mean? If you have 2 named storms in 1 year, I would have told you before what happened in 2020, the likelihood of that is next to none. But we had a trailing deductible that was a flat number $250,000, throw out the percentage. This year, a trailing deductible, which is what you're referring to, sir, is not available, it's not offered. And that there is the Louisiana State Insurance Commissioner, if it is a homeowner's policy, which this is not what we're insuring, you're only allowed one hurricane deductible per calendar year. You're exactly right. That does not apply to commercial property insurance.
See, that's crazy too. But anyway,
Get back, Katie, to that page. Y'all reviewed the changes? Are there anything significant on this page that we need to worry about?
No, sir.
okay.
And I can, just reiterate what Logan's already told you. We did see, after we went a few years without any claims, and our premium did go down every year that we didn't have a claim. So it does fluctuate, and we
guess-
did have the benefit of it reducing.
I guess the reason for all the question is the amount of increase. And
I
I mean,
completely understand, trust me, I have no pleasure coming here and delivering this news. I would love to say the premium stayed the same, premium went down, I did that, I love that. I don't.
there wasn't many questions for that.
That doesn't mean that we're not out there doing our job,
No, I know.
pounding on these insurance companies, because you know what, it's really easy. If I don't, I'm fired. That's all. Y'all fired.
And Daryl started this process, and then Wendy came in and took it over, and she spent countless, probably 90% of her workday working with Logan and these insurance companies, and they have been very cooperative. She's told you that, anytime she sends a quote, no questions asked, they increase the amount of our settlement. So we haven't had any issues with this company so far.
Sounds good. then.
Good deal.
Very good to work with.
Do they insure residential?
We're gonna hold their feet to the fire because of the premium. Wendy said it yesterday. There's a certain bar that we expect for the premium to be paid, and it's our job, is we're doing that to make sure they live up to their side of this equation, and they're gonna. They're gonna. But the whole claims process, it takes time. It's the repair process, it takes time. Y'all know that.
Oh.
We've been doing it, it takes time.
This company has come back multiple times, as I've asked them to reevaluate a building because I didn't like their report, or I didn't think it was enough. They've come back and looked at it on their own dime. They've come back and taught the engineers to redo buildings that I didn't agree with. So they've taken quotes that we've received, even contractors, they've met with some of the contractors just to make sure that we are getting as much money out of that location as we can.
Good. Thank y'all, man.
Okay.
Anybody else?
No.
Nobody else?
Katie, I will send you an email between now and 2 o'clock on this other all peril, just so we can see what the savings is, for the drawers to make their decision.
You have anything else, Mr. Logan, or? Okay.
Maybe this is the time to talk about this. On a separate note, but kind of the same thing. Are we making any kind of preparations, temporary preparations for our employees out on the road crews for as office space of some sort other than their vehicles?
Yes, in Grand Lake, we're gonna be able to use at the county agent's office for Kevin and Angela work. They'll be able to get in there to eat, and if they need to go to the bathroom, cool down and stuff like that. And then, in Cameron, upstairs, there's still a couple rooms that they're able to get into right now. So you can actually go in there and get out of the weather. And, we're just about through with East Creo, and that was Sherry, and we'll be able to use East Creo, or can't do our parking in Creo at the East Creo outside. And Sherry and the Grand Airborne, they actually cleaned it up a little bit, so they're able to go in there and use bathrooms and stuff like that.
How about Hackberry and,
Hackberry Warren is there, and it's fine, we got somebody who wants I mean, there's a little bit of damage, but they're working out of it, it's not on any.
Klondike too?
I got one quick question.
The Grand Lake Farms is where we're having the issue to find somewhere to house.
Did we ever make any headway with that barn situation?
5,000 last year, we had a hundred.
Forest
We're
Deep
trying
and-
to get quotes to have it
$1 million
demolished
to
and hauled off.
So there it is.
Talking about the Grand Lake Farm?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting, how many quotes do you have for it? We have two of them. We have two, we're waiting on the third quote. And then we're gonna demolish it, and then we'll start having some meetings with the jury to discuss, before we build any, total buildings. We'll take a look at the map and see where we can consolidate and make sure that we're building a functional building that serves lots of different departments and not just one entity.
Thank you.
Those meetings will happen. And we do have HGA here if you have any questions about PWs, but we just submitted our damage inventory yesterday, which is a big step in the FEMA PW process. So what that means for us is now that we have that uploaded into Grant's portal, they'll start writing all of the PWs, and so we'll start getting some information on what FEMA's gonna obligate. So when we start making those decisions, we have all the finances in front of us, so we're making some educated decisions. Do you have any questions about the PW process?
Are we late to the game, or are we early, or where we at with that?
We're actually early, in my opinion. I know I've spoken with Calcasieu Parish and the City of Lake Charles, and they haven't received any damage inventory PW scope running as of the last time I talked to them last week. So I think we're doing good, we're ahead of the game, and we're doing great for us. I mean, how many months, 5 months since the storm, and we're already gonna have PWs written to start doing some improvements.
Are y'all gonna, let go like a fire station, for just a fire station in particular, anywhere? When you get funded for that building, are you gonna start rapidly having, that particular building be contracted out and built?
We hired a architect who's gonna handle all of our bidding for us. They have already been in the field with Wendy for the last few weeks. They've been on to every single location. They've started doing preliminary scope of work for buildings that we know without a doubt we're gonna have to repair and bid out, and they've also looked at, potential ideas for consolidating buildings.
We've been talking about consolidating some of our fire
Yeah.
stations down here.
But I'm just saying, when we get the data, when we get the money, insurance money or whatever, if we don't wanna sit on it.
Right, we have to.
We wanna act on it, because these fire stations are important. I mean, the building, these trucks are very expensive, and having them out there in the elements is detrimental to them.
Yes, sir. We have, we do, like I said, we have already preemptively got an architect on contract. The thing is, you have to bid everything out that's over $250,000.
I understand.
And it's FEMA's rule too. So we've done as much as we can ahead of time. As soon as we start getting the PW scope of work written, then our architects are gonna be ready to bid out all of the scope of work. The only decision we'll have to make, and we're gonna make with the jury, is if we wanna bid it out at one contractor to fix everything in the parish, or if y'all wanna bid out each individual location and take separate bids for each location.
Cool.
There's-
That one for everything is
Right, that'll be something, a
that's a
decision
crazy
that
idea
you
there.
guys will have to make, and it'll be made pretty
Right.
soon. Probably the next police jury meeting, we'll have to decide how you guys are wanting to bid it out. And I'm sure there's
Wanna go one for all.
benefits and disadvantages, no matter which way
Got
we
one
go,
problem.
we'll
Yeah.
handle
Problem
that at the
everywhere.
next meeting.
Okay. Ms. Wendy, you had something?
The last meeting I had with the architect, which was Tuesday, we discussed the fire stations to make them off the list, because we don't want it to affect any of our insurance ratings for our.
Right.
So they're.
On top of it? Okay.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. Anybody else?
I got one quick question. I don't think it has anything to do with this, but has to do with trash removal. Have we been paying series? Have they been paid? Have they been paid monies, any physical monies?
Yes. We paid them 4 invoices, let me see the number. Right now, we have
Wow.
I got a call the other day from one of the trash sites, and they said they hadn't been paid by Syracuse for trash.
For the disposal?
Yeah, have you heard anything about that?
No, I haven't heard any complaints, but as far as I understand it, that's something that's typical. In Cameron Parish, particularly all of those sites, they weren't permitted until very recently for final disposal. There's a difference between the staging of the debris and then the disposal of it, and they could not charge us for the disposal until they were permitted as a disposal site. So that's a little bit of the
Hold up.
slack of them not, them accepting it but not being paid for the disposal. That should be coming in the next month. We should start seeing those invoices.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, the next item, operations of food trucks parish-wide. Carabeth?
So as you remember, September 3rd, y'all first police jury meeting, post Laura, y'all adopted to allow temporary food trucks to operate for a term of 6 months. And this will be expiring on March 3rd. So we would like for y'all to consider to extend this for an additional 6 months. You know, the need is still here. We have talked to Department of Health and Hospitals, DHH. They will also be in agreement to extend another 6 months as well. So,
Where does this food truck boundary at?
it's parish-wide right now. Right now, we have 4 permitted sites under this current
We
ordinance.
did this prior to the storm?
No,
Oh, after the
After
storm.
storm.
October of them.
but it's just gonna be for the same 4 food
So,
trucks.
yeah, my recommendation would be to limit this, as we know, summer months are fixing to come around the corner, so I would like to see a limit as maybe 5 to operate under this current
Parish-wide?
exemption, yes. So,
Because we got, I don't know that we have any in the Grand Lake area operating.
you have Mr. Gaddy's, which he
Right,
operates
that-
under
that-
commissary,
he-
and he's legal for that, yes.
Right.
This is only under the exemption of food trucks that do not have to return to a commissary.
Is this, where are they at? If we have 4
They're all in here, they're all in Cameron.
in the
There's two,
Cameron area?
there's 2 here.
We actually have, they're all really all established businesses. Tressie's, Anchors Up, the new restaurant that was just established right before the storm. It's called Last Stand. We have Anchors Up, Rita's Kitchen, and we just had Cajun Girls, which they only will be coming in on Mondays.
But Carabette, that's not just 4, like at first, it's opened up, they can have as many that
Right
wants to
now,
apply.
correct, we don't have a limit right now, but I would like to see y'all consider a limit. Like I said, summer's coming around, and I would like that because I don't wanna hurt the business, the established businesses that were here before the storm.
I agree.
Well,
We need to limit that, and if it'd be up to me, I'd limit it to just a certain area too.
Well, y'all can do that as well.
you don't want me,
I don't want them in Grand Lake. The people don't want them in Grand Lake.
I mean, we could go by areas if they want to.
If you only limit
You
it
can
5,
say
it's
in the
kind of
village
work
of
for
Cameron
anybody to.
only,
Yeah, if you limit the number to 5, it would,
right, that would take care of it,
Yeah.
yeah, every district, so.
but it's I've had residents, people in the area, in my area, saying that they would prefer them not to be there.
So you have 4 now?
Correct.
Okay, and you're asking for 5?
I think that's good.
Is 5 enough? Okay,
Do
'cause in
y'all have any come to Holly Beach?
summertime, people will be back down here fixing their houses, doing things like that.
No,
People
so
come in.
Mr. Sanders.
We gotta get John, I see John back here, we gotta get John's place up and running.
Well, that was another question. Has anybody come online, any new permits for food serving, operations?
Not at this moment, no, sir.
Okay. As soon as that happens, we're gonna have to revisit this.
Yeah, 'cause we need to do what we can to get him up and going.
Okay.
So if you do an extension for an additional 6 months, that'll end September 3rd of 20,
And put a limit.
With
would you
a
put
maximum of 5?
yes.
Okay.
And anybody else that we need to get up and going. I don't mean just to mention John, but I mean anybody that we can try and help to get their business reestablished and going, we need to help.
Okay.
Well, the last thing I want is, we got a select amount of businesses in Grand Lake area and I'll talk about my area, but, you know, you got a little corner store and Brown's ain't up to going, and, but there's a new business there that's gonna open and sell crawfish. I'd hate to see a food truck come there selling crawfish and compete with the guy
Right.
that's got the business there.
Yeah. No
I
problem
don't
with
want, I don't want that.
That's a good problem, I'll be glad when we get there.
Yeah, I mean,
that. Yeah.
but you don't foresee something.
I understand.
Anybody else have any?
It is on the voting meeting, so,
Okay.
you don't have to be out.
Just want to make sure whoever makes the motion, if
To
you
put
want to limit it to 5.
maximum of
you can
5.
make a motion.
Do we have any applications other than the 4? Okay,
No, sir.
okay.
You didn't get one from Hackberry? Okay, Karen? No?
Is that it? Is that all we have on the food trucks? I'm good with that.
I'm gonna have to call them, get them to call you.
Okay. Okay, next up is to review the agenda.
We have a few things. The first thing that's going to be on the agenda meeting is going to be the consideration of the amendment for waste management. I believe they're here, and Mr. Thompson's working directly with them on negotiating that amendment. So I don't know, Tom, do you want to come present it for the waste management people? See what you guys came up with?
Good morning,
Morning, Mr. Tom.
there you are. That's where I was lying. So yes, it's a very simple two-page document that extends the existing agreement that you originally had with,
Waste management.
well, it wasn't with management.
So
it was-
There you go. It extends that for another year from March this year to March of next year. And it includes an increase in price for an index that is identified in the contract. The index right now, the practical effect of that is you go from $12.50 per household, $12.50 per household to $12.90. I think is with that index increase, you have not had an increase in 5 years under the current contract. So 40 cents per household is not very significant. I think it's about a 3%, give or take, increase. So that's, the contract doesn't say $12.90, it just applies the index to the price, which the practical result is $12.90 per household for the next year. And also this extension provides that if both parties agree, just extending for another 4-year or 1-year term. But if not, you can decide to do something different,
Okay.
at the end of the year, next spring, before the March date comes around next year. I think that's, I didn't any questions. I mean, if it was fair, that sounds accurate to you?
That's exactly.
Yeah. We try to keep it simple.
There you go.
Sounds good to me.
And the house count has been updated as well.
You'll have?
Yeah, we did, in an event you wanted to compare apples to apples, what you paid last year, the year before in the household to the $12.50 per household, I mean, we could do the math, but, in the end, it's going up 40 cents a household, more or less.
It's not bad. You know how many households we have?
Emily,
3,457.
3,400.
3,400 households?
What does that include?
RVs in a house.
All the RVs in these parks?
That, and I'm glad you asked that question. I had asked Emily to provide me, and we can provide it to you, we know exactly how many RV spaces are available in the parish. We're probably not at 100% capacity, but it's about 1,200.
Right now, we're at 497.
So 497 actual RVs, but we have a capacity up to 1,700. The decision doesn't maybe need to be made today, but I think a decision needs to be made. Are you going to give every RV or you can consider that a home and ask them to pick up that 1,700 RVs that you'll be, that's a significant increase compared to your household that you have. In the 3,400, does that include?
We may have to, we may
Well,
have
you
to
pay
visit,
on the ones that's
revisit.
there, you don't pay on the empty lot, though.
No, you
Yeah.
don't, but
Yeah.
the point being, a policy decision needs to be made knowing your risk or your exposure is up to 1,700, so do you want to pick up RV, do you want to give RVs a trash can, or do you want to make the RV park responsible for their own trash pickup?
Well, the RV's paying taxes like everybody else. I mean, the RV parks, they went up on that property. My deal is, you can't just target RV parks, and I'm an owner of 3 of them. I mean, because we pay taxes, our taxes was hardly nothing on the property. But now that we make RV park out of, taxes skyrocketed. So we're having to pay the higher taxes because we have a business there, and in that business, you know, I mean, we're paying trash taxes on
I'm
it.
not saying
Yeah.
what's right or wrong.
Yeah.
Not a right or wrong answer, it's just a policy decision.
Well, I mean, when people, other people that don't own them looks at it, they say, well, we shouldn't pay that, but we're paying taxes just like a house owner, you know?
You know, when we decided to include the RVs for the house count, and again, it's your decision, but we thought it was important to include it because we do not have majority of our dump sites open right now. We still have to get those back up and running, so, and we really need to keep the parish clean, and so we thought that it was important for us to at least consider it this time. And, next year, if you guys, you know, our dump sites are open, and you want to change the policy and exclude RVs, then you can, but for right now, we feel like it's important to help keep Cameron clean.
And another practical matter is that those trucks can't get into, so there has to be some, you know, policy decision that those RV parks have to put their cans.
Yeah, put them out by the road. Yeah.
So that it's accessible, because again, the trucks, you know, I'm sure that the RV owners don't want those trucks.
Tear all that concrete up, yeah.
Exactly, so that's just another logistical issue to discuss, and I think the staff could probably implement that policy. Okay, that's all I have.
Well, should we provide garbage pickup for our service stations or our convenience stores?
They should.
Because we're providing it for another business
And paying taxes.
that's paying taxes.
Since I've been here, the only time that, I
Argued
know
about
back
that for
in the day,
years.
they got them where they had the, like the 2 yards, 4 yards, and 8 yards, and the push tree had checked into us, actually, the push tree paying for them. And I don't have nothing in writing, and I was not that person back then, but if I'm not mistaken, I think the orders, or someone had told you that we could not do that.
But we can do it this way.
I don't think anybody else.
Well, I'm just saying, you know, a business is a business.
Rental houses, they get it picked up, you know?
Yeah,
All the rental houses, they get their trash picked up.
so,
But in theory, we had this issue after Rita Road being built, where y'all made, not necessarily y'all, but the police jury at the time made an exception that instead of building roads to the conditions that we're accustomed to or required historically, we allowed gravel roads, and we accepted those gravel roads. The developer didn't give the buyers of the lots any credit or discount because they didn't have to build a better road. Point being, commercial businesses charge their clients, they're not gonna charge the clients less now because we're providing trash service to them. It ain't gonna happen.
But we
So
have to
while
go
they're
up.
paying taxes, they're collecting from ultimately, it's the consumer that pays, whether it's
Yeah.
paying taxes through increased rents, paying for more food, or the food you buy at the store costing you more. The owner is not going to eat that cost, they're gonna pass it on to your consumers. So in the end, the consumer is paying the tax. The guy
But
that
right now,
owns the RV park or the store is not pulling money out of his pocket, he's charging his clients or his customers.
We don't charge them right now. And in fact, the rates in Cameron was 700. Right now, they're down to 550.
That's a market issue.
Yeah, well, it's a market issue, but it's coming down. But now we'll have to go back up if we're gonna get charged so much a can. You know?
Shoot, it's $3.50.
Well,
It's a-
every household needs to
it's
go
a-
up,
That's between them.
you know? every
that's,
household.
that's business.
Gotta be fair. But this is my deal. I've argued about this.
Commercial establishment and a household. A
I know.
household doesn't anybody go.
Doesn't make any difference. That household, then they ought to charge the household too then.
There is
No.
a difference.
No, there's no
No,
difference.
there's a difference on that.
They're already
Residential is
paying
different than
I
commercial.
argued about this with Tina Horn when I was in here last time. I paid a shitload of taxes for a business, and I had to pay my trash can for my office. I had to pay to get rid of that trash. That's bullshit. I pay the taxes. Half the households
We don't
in
go
Cameron
by
doesn't even
taxes.
pay taxes whenever they
We don't operate that way. We don't operate by who pays the bigger taxes.
Well, I mean,
The
if
person
I'm
that's
paying-
paying the biggest,
if I'm paying trash,
the person that's paying the bigger taxes is making the most money.
That's because they get off their ass and work.
Well, I don't know about
Shit.
all that. I'm just saying.
In the end, I'm not sure that we can provide.
We still live, man?
Public services to commercial establishments because of
We have the money in there to do it. The trash got more money than any of the entities.
Money in businesses.
I just point out these issues and you have to make a decision.
Yeah,
Individual.
probably something,
Okay.
at some point, we're gonna need to clear up.
So as of now, we're including RVs in the track, the household trash pickup, so we're clear. Is that fair?
Thank you,
Yes,
Tom.
sir.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Thank you, Tom. You want to continue to look and see what else, look over the agenda?
Only question I got, Mr. President, is on appointments, and we reviewed this, and everybody's still living in the parish?
I think most,
I mean, you know your people, so you could figure it out there or not?
yeah, or they're trying to get back, I would say,
Okay.
you know?
I've got a statement to make, Mr. President. I'd like to thank the permitting department. They've been getting beat up pretty hard here lately. I know everybody out there, we are streaming on Facebook right now. It's kind of slow, but from what I'm hearing over my phone, but it's still coming through. But our people here in Cameron has been beat up pretty regular, and I think everybody needs to realize this is not their decision. They're not the ones making these decisions. These decisions are made by FEMA and other people, and please don't be blaming them. Like I said, they're doing their job. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Yep.
Curtis, we appreciate that. I can assure you, we will do the best we can and guide our residents and help them as best we can every day. That is our job as public servants. So we will be there for the residents, and if you all have any issues or concerns, please let us know. So, thank you.
Well, the only concern I have right now is, and I've already discussed this with you, is these FEMA people that went out and did their assessments. Somebody needs to teach them how to do an assessment. The people I've had in the last couple of days, I'm sitting on it, but there's not much left. But the thing about it is, these people go on other people's property and walk into people's homes and taking pictures through their windows. It's not going to get it.
Well, not only that, Kurt, not only that, FEMA comes in and does a broad spectrum of surveys, and then they put out these claims that you're so much damaged. And then it's the responsibility of the landowner or the resident to prove the different. And to me, the resident has to put out money to prove a false claim that FEMA's making. FEMA should have to pick up the cost of that resident if they prove FEMA wrong.
And our permitting department is the ones getting all the flack from it.
That's the way it
It's not
should
their
work.
fault.
FEMA
So,
should not be able to allow to come in our parish and make an assessment, outside assessment of something that's damaged inside without going inside.
Agreed.
and going
And
inside
then the
when they weren't
resident
allowed.
then the resident gets this letter, and so they gotta hire engineers in some cases, architects in some cases, and prove to FEMA, no, my house ain't damaged 50%. Well, that costs. FEMA just made that resident pay an additional costs that they could have put toward their home, and that's not right.
And they need to live by what they say they're gonna do and not come in after a storm and change everything, in midstream. And the permitting department is the one that's taking the brunt of this, and we're taking the brunt of this as well. Like I said, I don't have much left, but I'm sitting on it, I'm telling you right now. And I don't blame the people, because the people, this is, like you said, it's money out of their pocket that they don't have. And all they wanna do is get back in their home.
I know I've got plenty of phone calls. I've been talking with Katie and Karen, them all this week. I don't know how many people, look, they had heart attacks with these letters that were sent out. You know, and my house was one of them. They said my house was 100%. I had 3 windows in the front door and about 8 sheets of plywood off my roof, and they said I was 100%, which is no way 100%. not even 50%, you know? And I'd like to tell everybody, don't tear your houses down. If you can get our permit department, and as a permit department, needs to work with the people to help them to do what they need to do to repair the homes, what's left, if they can, if they want to. Because if we don't repair these homes, and you want to make them go up 2 or 3 foot, whoever's saying we sunk 2 or 3 foot, they leaving. I talked to a lady right here in Creole, she was going to fix her trailer. She said, Scott, if I got to go up 2 foot, I'm leaving. I'm not doing it. I already got my iron pilings, my steel, everything I had to do 5 years ago, whatever it was. I said, we're going. We're not going. We're not leaving. I said, no, wait a minute. Talk to Kate and them. They're going to try to do something to work with them to help them where they'll stay. Because if we don't keep people in our parish, they leave it up in Grand Lake too. You see them leaving all the time. If we don't keep our people here, we're not going to have a parish. Nobody have jobs here. We won't have a parish left. So we need to make do we can do to help the people and want to come back home, want to stay in Grand Lake, want to stay in Hackberry, Sweet Lake, not leave. So please try to help them as much as y'all can.
And thank you all.
And I know y'all trying,
I
but
can assure you, we are doing all that we can to help them, so.
We appreciate it.
Some people really, want to be completely damaged so they can rebuild. A lot of people want to try to save what they have, so we are working to get them to where we can do that. So it's all case by case, different, but we are doing our best.
thank you. That's all I have.
Just thank all the departments for what you do. Thank y'all.
And I just want to make sure we go on the record clarifying, because it's important to FEMA that this distinction is made. It was not FEMA employees, it was a private contractor that FEMA hired and paid.
You need to fire
Our
them.
guns.
It falls back on
And so
FEMA.
It's not perfect, the contractor obviously did not do a very good job, and so the permit department is doing their best to clean up that mess that was made. And we've already started having some preliminary discussions, Kiara, Miles and I, that we want to go and have a pre-disaster firm of our choosing to come in that, just like with debris removal, we'll have a company set to be able to come in and do all of our substantial determinations, damage determinations, and we'll have a staff member ride with them and make sure that the accurate information is being captured. And so that's what we're working on now, so this never happens again.
Yeah.
Maybe we
Shane
can get
Shane and Ms. Emma, your department's doing a great job.
Thank you.
Every time we have a problem, we call Shane or call you and it gets taken care of. Thank you.
Maybe we can get these FEMA adjusters to get with our insurance, maybe, and tell them that we substantial damage and they can maybe pay us. The only other question I got, how's the letter situation? Are you getting a lot of responses on the letters?
Lots of
100%.
responses.
Are the people seem to
How
be
good was it?
genuinely pleased with what they're hearing?
Yes, after we kind of discuss with them what their options are, they're understanding and so, yes.
All the ones that called me, done talked to the permit office said, we're 100% not responsible for what we have to do now. That's what they telling me. And I tell them, look, go fix your house, don't worry about it, just go fix it and live in it. Because I bet 90% of them have electricity
Right,
in
and
their
that's
house today.
another, what Katie was saying, we're gonna make sure the timing of these assessments are done probably 1 to 2 weeks after the disaster occurs, so.
Yeah, you can't just, a person come in after the storm and decide he's gonna fix his house up and spend a bunch of money. Now you're gonna go tell them they gotta tear it down. No, that ain't gonna work.
Also, Katie, just another question off that subject there. Once the cleanup has been completed, all the stuff has been picked up, the residual that's gonna be left in the ditches, have we decided what we're gonna do about that?
Well, the contractor is supposed to do a final pass and clean it, but in the event that they do not do a job up to our standards and we can't get them to come back and finish it, we are prepared to utilize our road crew. We might have to hire a few extra hands, but our road crew will be going up and down every road and cleaning it. We already have an existing MOU, memorandum of understanding with DOTD to collect commercial debris. So we can request that we amend
Well-
So we'll have authority to go in the right of way.
The thing about what I'm talking about is where they going along and they're picking up the trash, and they're doing a pretty good job. Like I said, we're having to call and get with Shane and everything, get other things done. The problem with it is the small, items that's the residual that's left in the ditches and on the property, on the roadways, that's gonna need to be cleaned out. We don't want them going in digging our ditches. We want them just going in and sweeping this stuff up so, it don't cause damage to vehicles and children and stuff like that. Because there's a lot of residual in the ditches right now.
Is there is this contract, the debris people supposed to be filling up these craters that they left and dug up?
They are supposed to, they're under contract with
Really?
David.
Are we monitoring that? The parish is monitoring where they're at and
Shane,
Is the lead on that.
we're leading.
He's not-
Doing a
Shane
great
been
job.
doing it.
Huh?
But he is
Well,
keeping
reading that,
track
but
of
Shane's
that,
been doing
and
it.
right now, we still have that, we're in our final pass, but we haven't set that final date. The 14th was our target date, because FEMA's deadline was the 28th. We went ahead and submitted a time extension request, we hope to hear back something next week, but we did request for a 6-month extension. So if we need it, we certainly can extend it out that long.
because there's a whole lot of homes that still gotta be tore down if you just get on the road and look. It'll just go, I mean, I don't see any other way.
And that's something that, that's a good segue into our private property, debris removal discussion. I promised you guys I'd give you, some firm numbers on our debris removal, so you could start talking to the community and see if it's something that you think that we can afford to do and that we wanna pursue. So as of all that, I told you 8.5 million is what we dispersed through December 11th. And, through FEMA and GOSEP, they designated the 30-day period of 100% coverage. The day was October 14th through November 12th. So any invoices that, we have paid out for debris removal will be covered at 100% between that. So what that looks like is that's gonna cover, FEMA's gonna pay $3.3 million of that tab at 100%. The remaining, as of right now, is 5.1 million. So if we have a 25% cost share, our tab right now is 1.2 million. We're being told that we should get the 90/10. They don't have any reason to believe that it won't be approved. So if we are fortunate enough to get that 90/10 cost share, we will be out of pocket right now $511,000. That's through December 11th. And not to, don't forget that we have $250,000 to go cover some of these costs that Representative Boyock was able to get allocated to us. So right now, best case scenario, $250,000 is what we're out of pocket through December. Worst case scenario is gonna be about $1 million. When we started our debris pickup after the first of the year, January 18th is when we started, and through February 3rd, we are at 116,000 cubic yards that was picked up of C&D. And let's see, 34,000 of marsh grass and 36,000 cubic yards of vegetated. All of our projections were on 11,000 cubic yards per day being hauled. We now are seeing an average of 9,000. So it is starting to slow down a little bit as the cubic yardage that's being placed to the road starts to become less and less. More of series trucks will be dismissed and they can move on to other projects. And so we can keep 1 or 2 crews here if we get that time extension for the next 6 months, just to pick up as things are placed out there. Or you can make a decision to set a final passage date and then we'll not collect anything else after that date. We don't have to make that decision today, it's just information I wanted you to have so you can start talking to your constituents and we'll need a decision. If the time extension isn't approved, next week we might have to call a special meeting.
Do we have a number did we do an assessment through the communities on these big old stumps in these people's?
They did get everything they can get that was in the right of way.
No, I'm talking on private
On
property.
private property,
Did we send somebody out to do an assessment to see how much it would cost to have those removed?
no, sir, we haven't done that, but we can certainly do that.
That's what, that needs to be done, just so that we know, the number.
Okay.
Yeah, but right now, I don't think we go on private
You can go on private property.
No, but I'm saying, we would know whether we want to pursue that or not, depending on how much of a need is out there. I can tell you one thing, in the Grand Lake area, they're everywhere.
No, they are in Hackberry too, but that's, well, on private property.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if there's a need, a public need for it, FEMA might pay for us to go on private property. And if we don't know what's out there, if we don't do an assessment of what's out there, then how are we gonna even determine what we need or what they don't need?
We met with the governor's group the other day, me, Scott, Katie was there. And we brought that question up about debris fields out in the pastures where people aren't gonna push it to the road, and they are looking at ways to try to help us now. I don't know if that's gonna include stump removal. It may not, but it's gonna give us a definite, will they or will they not help us?
But that all falls under a private property debris removal PW. And so that's something that I guess you guys need to let the staff know. We'll definitely start assessing those stumps for you, Ms. Wood, but if you want to open it up and start collecting, soliciting applications from property owners that feel they would qualify and they are requesting us to do a program to go and demolish their house and haul it off, we could start doing some intake applications right now. We can wait another month or two to look at the finances again and decide if you feel like it's something you can afford. It's really up to you guys. If you're ready to.
If it's legal and we can afford it, yeah, I agree with you 100%.
I just think we need to get out there, have somebody just ride around and identify where they're at, and how many there's out there.
We can do the tree stumps. The homes are gonna be a little bit harder to, we can
I
identify what we
agree.
feel like needs to be hauled off, but will the property owner actually wanna participate in the program?
I agree.
Yes, sir? You had something?
Yeah, Craig Broussard from Hollywood. I just want to give you a personal, experiences. We're far from final cleanup. We were told that final cleanup in Hollywood was going to be on the 11th. The trucks are still going through, which is great. They're picking up trash, but they're only picking up selectively.
Yep.
And there's still trailer frames, tires, axles. Take a ride out and take a look and see if you think it's final, the final cleanup is done.
Are they picking up tires? I don't think they are. I don't think they're picking up tires.
Trailer frames neither, I don't think.
No
There's
front.
an issue with tires. That's a DEQ issue that they're working through. It's become apparent that DEQ staff wasn't quite prepared for this type of disaster as well, and a lot of their permits that they issued for final disposal were missing key components to allow them to take tires. That's something that DEQ's working through. They hope to have a decision and a solution by the end of next week. But just to respond to your concern, they intentionally are only picking up certain debris because only certain landfills can take that. So in Holly Beach, one of the trucks that's picking through it is only going to, say, Howard Romero's site. He's only permitted to collect certain items. So he can't take mattresses, he can't take tires, he can't. So that's why they're only picking up what they need from Howard Romero. Another crew will come in and pick up the cars, the tires, white goods. It's a whole different crew, a whole different contractor. So that's why you see them picking through.
Not a problem. The only concern I had was, it isn't, you're talking about hurrying up, finishing the final. We're far from final. And we were told final was gonna be in Holly Beach on the 11th of January.
Yes.
Here we are in February, and I don't want you to have a misconception that everything's hunky-dory. We're far from,
Yes, sir.
come visit.
I understand, no, we.
That's the whole parish, though.
We have
We can visit the whole parish, we got trash everywhere.
That's right.
Come visit Grand Lake.
Yeah, it's not just Holly Beach.
You think it's bad in all the
That
beach.
ride those roads every day, and we said that we were starting on January 11th.
Go to Creole and stuff.
Oh, that's what we were telling us about Creole.
They start back on February 11th, but told that it'll be approved. We don't have anything official yet. But everything, GOSET tells us we have no reason to believe it won't be approved. But as long as we can have, as long as the cubic yards are there to justify the trucks, there'll be trucks in your area cleaning every day.
One final comment on the private property is that, you know, there's a lot of people out there still working with the insurance, contracting attorneys and things of that nature. So we may be many months out before those people are able to make a decision on what they're gonna do with their homes. So we need to be aware of that and be prepared to take action on that one.
Well, hopefully we can get this 6-month extension, that way it'll give them.
But the other side is,
That more
they're
time.
working with the insurance company, or is the insurance company paying them to demo that house?
Well, they do that on a house-by-house basis.
Almost all insurance companies paying people to demo.
Yeah. If they haul
It
it
ain't
to,
much,
them,
but-
haul it to the road, we
For
pick
those
it up.
of the residents that live off of the state road, DOTD has been very cooperative. Even though you don't see their trucks in the area, anytime that someone calls and says, I live on a state highway and this is the debris and it hasn't been picked up, if you just send me a picture and an address, I send it to DOTD and they have always sent a truck to collect it. So, and until they stop doing that, I encourage residents on state highways, just send me an email of the debris and the address, and I'll keep forwarding it to our counterparts at DOTD, and they'll continue to collect it.
And Emily and Shane has been doing it too, and they, actually, yesterday they came in and found some more that they called on, and they're there this morning picking it up, so.
They continue to do that for us, so please just call us if there's any residents that are having issues.
So we don't know, I know Creole's a sore eye when you drive up into Creole. Man, I wish we could just do away with all that crap that's there right now. But I mean, I know the property owners are probably waiting on, see if we can do this private property debris removal, but,
If you guys think that it's worth at least entertaining the idea of private property debris removal, we could start getting just short intake applications, just getting names, phone numbers, and addresses, and whether or not they got insurance. We're prepared to do that. Danny's office is gonna take lead on that.
I think
He hired Casey Haney right after the storm, and all of her experience from Rita and I was doing specifically private property removal, so.
If you
Do you hear us?
don't ask, you're not gonna know. That's my thing.
We can do that.
But are we gonna ask that they get demolition money from the insurance company to pay us back, or?
That will be FEMA's rule.
Okay.
FEMA will require them to either sign over their insurance funds that they receive, and then FEMA will cover the difference of the cost if there's anything. But that is a requirement. If you receive insurance, you have to provide it and pay towards.
Yeah, they're gonna have to,
what FEMA will pay.
they'll probably have to fill out an application, huh?
Yeah, we can do a simple application, that we can post on our website where we can collect, interested parties, their contact information, their address, and then provide proof that your insurance didn't pay or how much your insurance paid. Just
Good.
because you received money, it might not have been enough, you would be eligible for the difference.
okay.
I'm totally not against it. I'm totally not against it as long as it's legal.
Okay. No, we can do it, we just didn't want to start doing it unless it was something that the jury would even
Well,
entertain.
I think we ought to get the number out there so we can.
I think so.
Have we can
Get some
look at it.
feedback on, see how much, what we're looking at.
But maybe there's not a lot of stumps, but there's a lot in my neighborhood. But maybe there is. But until we go out there and look,
It's a lot of
you ain't
bonfires.
gonna know.
A lot of bonfires.
I know.
Okay, we'll work on that.
I do have a couple questions. One of them is, when are we gonna open the dump sites up? People are paying taxes for these dump sites.
We were not gonna open them up until after we're through picking up the debris. The
Yes.
problem is Sweet Lake is so small, when we decide to open it, we're not gonna be able to get the stuff out of there quick enough. They're gonna be bringing us all the ice boxes, tires, all the wood.
And we're 100% responsible for the payment to remove that. Right now, FEMA's paying. So let's keep them closed just to household goods, I believe. That's our best bet.
People are paying taxes to have them open. We need to open them up to
Yeah,
a
for the household
certain extent.
goods. Household goods right now.
At some point, we'll need to open them back
Yeah,
up.
some
but I
point we're
don't
gonna
know if
open 'em
it's
up.
Right now, because it's
The
gonna
dump
crowd your
sites-
dumps, something terrible.
Yes.
The people are,
Sites that are able to open right now are open. There's a
So what it's gonna lead to is they're gonna go there with stuff in their trucks and they're gonna go right down the road because they got refused and they're gonna dump it on the side of the road. That's what's gonna fix to happen.
Considered litter. When they do that, that's considered litter. I will be the first one to call. We've had to do
Yeah.
it before.
I know, I understand all
I mean,
that.
I'm sorry, Sweet Lake is not big enough. If it was the Cameron Dome, that we had plenty of room, I'd say let's do it now. But it's so small, I promise you, there's no way that we didn't have to close because people would better drive in there.
Yeah, but it doesn't make no sense. Why would we take trash like that and have to pay 100% to get rid of it when FEMA's paying for us to get rid of it right now? Let's just keep it closed just for household
Mr.
goods.
Jones,
And then again, we're not paying for it to get disposed, the constituents of the parish are paying taxes for it.
Well, I
So it's not
understand
costing
that, but
us.
I'd rather my tax money be working another way right now than sitting right there when FEMA can pick it up.
Just wanna know.
While we're on that subject, we ever get our white goods problem fixed?
We had to go out and rebid it.
It's out for bid now?
Yeah, we opened bids, for February 22nd. We have to get everything ready for y'all to be able to accept it for March, for sure.
Okay.
There's not enough days in between to run it in here in fall.
All right. Have we done anything in the interim?
We've been taking it.
Getting kind of full in there.
Can we, go good, son? Can we talk about, these FEMA trailer parks? That's wanting to happen here, bring this up?
Well, they're just.
What's going on about these, because
potential
people,
sites
we get a
identified
bunch of
in
calls
the
about,
contract.
we've been getting a bunch of phone calls, I think the rest, everybody else has been too, about, FEMA, while we on Facebook Live, might as well let everybody know.
Yeah,
Because they're concerned about what's whoever's wanting to put these FEMA parks in the parish.
we need some clarification on that, because the last time we heard from FEMA, that they was gonna do no FEMA parks. They were gonna put in private parks that was existing FEMA trailers. If they're planning on putting FEMA parks, totally FEMA parks in our community, we need to know about it.
And we
Not-
have been talking with FEMA about this. We have weekly calls with them. And it's important to note that these are just potential sites being investigated. No decision has been made. They're just part of FEMA's process when they're trying to provide direct housing to a community, is they investigate every possibility. And then they go through and they vet what would work and not work. FEMA's priority right now is, of course, to give people a trailer or a mobile home on their property, or put them in a commercial park that's already operating like Shandy Acres. That's their priority right now, but they can't stop investigating all the other potential possibilities in case there's still a demand. So that's what they're doing right now. You're gonna see them working in the community, they're gonna be measuring, they're gonna be investigating, but no decision has been made. They're just getting all their paperwork together, so if we need a FEMA park to accommodate 100 of our residents, because there could be 100 residents that the only option is the FEMA park. And if that's the case, they'll come to us and they'll say, look, we still have 100 parish residents that have nowhere to go. Their only option is a FEMA park, and we can build a FEMA park on Cox Road, and we can place all 100 residents there. That's what they're.
So are they
I
gonna
think the
guarantee
ju-
a
I
signed
think
paper
that-
on that? This Cameron Parish only?
I think the jury, I think what I want is just to be apprised of what's going on. We don't want to be left in the dark and all of a sudden there's construction somewhere in the parish and we didn't know nothing about it.
Okay.
We
Well,
want to we want to know where they thinking, where they going, or where they
Yep.
think they might be going.
Well, I hope they have to come get a permit from us before they can do anything, I hope.
Yeah.
They do.
And that way we'll really know, you know.
But,
Yeah.
and so we'll take full responsibility for that. We have been informed of the process, and we should have made sure that the information was being forwarded to you guys, and we won't make that mistake again. We'll make sure that you get every time we are apprised of the direct housing, we receive slides, we will share it with you guys through an email, so you understand where they're at in the process.
So just to be clear, there
But
will
it
be,
will only be for if there's a demand for it.
there will be no FEMA park without coming before the jury and the jury approval. Is that correct?
That's where it needs to be.
Okay, just want to make sure that's clear, and everybody here agrees with that, I'm pretty sure.
But just to be clear, like I said, it will only happen if there's a demand for it.
Understand?
If there's zero
We
residents
understand.
that need it, then
We-
they won't build it.
But,
We understand that, but we don't want FEMA to determine there's a demand.
right.
Right.
And
We
put everybody
want the
else-
parish to determine if there's the demand, because FEMA might figure out that Calcasieu Parish has 9,000 people that need a FEMA trailer, and they don't have no locations, and they want to stick them all in Cameron Parish.
And we've seen their assessments.
I don't know if that's wise for our community. You
No,
follow
we
me?
have numbers on how many parish residents, Cameron Parish residents are, still need to be placed. We get
Nothing
those.
against the Calcasieu people, I'm just saying.
But we need
So
to,
Danny gets those numbers, and we'll make sure that we share any information we have and make it available for your review.
and you have like we done told FEMA before, you've got shandy acres or whatever. You don't have to make it a trailer, FEMA trailer park. Let FEMA put a trailer in this park for somebody from home that wants to stay there. Just don't go in there and put 40 trailers and call it a FEMA park, and then we all stuck with,
And that's, they're working on that.
You don't know who you got in there.
The acres cleared to do that. So that's higher on the priority list than building a FEMA trailer park. I mean, honestly, if you, the last thing FEMA wants to do, they don't want to come spend $200,000 to build a trailer park. It's a liability for them.
It's one thing having a park where there was a park before, and another thing having a park where there was never a park.
Against somebody's house.
That's right.
yeah.
Because I received about 5 phone calls within about 20 minutes Wednesday at a funeral. People chewed me up and down. And that's the first I hear of it. They know nothing about it.
I didn't know I got a call yesterday, didn't know anything about it either.
Y'all stay on top of it. Doing a great job.
I do want to have one other question. It pertains to his though. It's a change order. I don't like change orders.
Oh, what you got, Kurt?
The Rigid Construction, number 15,
That's for-
$38,000 change order.
Yes, so that's for our Rockefeller Shoreline Protection Project. That is 100% funded through CDBG funds.
Okay? That's all I need to know. If it was funded by them, we're good.
Yes, sir.
On that, we had kind of talked about it a little bit about having some money to be able to help our, not only citizens, but also be able to help the local businesses. Where are we at on that? Can we take some of that lawsuit money we got a while back? So can we use some of that to help the businesses to?
Right, so what we're working on is developing a long-term recovery group, which would, the membership would comprise of parish staff, some JORs, community members, some representatives from the Lions Club, and we would use this long-term recovery group to collect any donations, whether it's Chenier or Venture Global or any other private donations, funnel it through the Lions Club since they're a nonprofit, and then let this long-term recovery group vote on grants to either residents or small business owners. They would develop the criteria, and then it would be set up as more of a cost reimbursement type grant to where these residents or small business owners, whatever they spent in recovery, they could submit it, and then they could receive reimbursement through this program. This is something that's very early in development, trying to identify key members to even agree to participate in this group and make sure that the Lions Club is willing to be the fiscal agent for this group. So I'm hoping that by next police jury meeting, we have a little more of that structure organized and have a time to talk, and then we'll have to talk with Tom, but we are able, as police jury, to provide sponsorships and donations for stuff, so potentially we could take some of that lawsuit money and donate it to this group for recovery, but that's something that the DA's office and I'll have to work out, see what we can actually do with public funds and not. So that's something that, very, like I said, it's a little premature to talk about it. I'm still working on a lot of the details in the structure, but that is something that we were hoping to present to you at the meeting next month.
Time is very essential on that part right now.
Where, we need a store. I know we've been beating this up, and John's trying, we need a store. We don't have any fuel in Creel, we don't have any store in Creel. You gotta drive 30 miles, get 25, 30 miles, get eggs, milk, bread, fuel. If we don't have a store, it's bad enough we're not gonna even have a church. We're gonna have probably a church hall to have it. I don't know what all the other little churches gonna do. But if we don't have our church, we don't have a store, lumber yards or whatever, if we don't have these businesses, we ain't gonna have a community down here. So I think we need to do something to help. John's already made an effort to get started. We need to do something to let him get some groceries and business going over there. Some kind of exceptions, something. And that he would come and meet the criteria when we get this money together. To help him up, to help drywall or whatever the FEMA wants him to do or something. But he can't keep sitting around every day, and next thing you know, all these contractors are gone, and he's taking no telling how much of a risk over there to do a business for us, for the community. You know, so.
Mr. President, I want to comment on what you're talking about right now. I think a couple
Help
of years,
everybody.
a couple of years ago, we give a variance to a local business right here in Cameron, a 6-month variance to get in compliance. So, I mean, is that something we can do, is give a 6-month variance and give them time to, they can get in business and make some money and get whatever, the waterproofing or whatever can be done?
So I think first what needs to happen is, try to get the owner, Mr. John Canning, to present us, the actual design engineer drawings to show compliance of the building. If he's gonna be working towards that compliance, we have to have some sort of document that shows that he will be designing this building to compliance. We have not received that today. I know I've reached out to Royal, and, you know, we are trying to help him out. So, I don't know where he is with that, but I think once we get that, sure, we can work with legal to see what we could do temporarily. So, I mean, is John
John?
here?
I got the drawings this morning, while we were in here.
Okay, good. So,
Got to me yesterday.
okay. So I think that's the first step, is for him to show that he will be, designing this building to this, to show that it will be compliance. I don't see why we can't allow some type of temporary time limit. I know in the past storms from Rita, we felt Kelly's Mart, they had a temporary building while their new store was being constructed.
And we've
So-
also helped Gigi's right here in
So
Cameron.
we did do that. So I think that would be doable, and it would be benefit for the community and for the store owner, but we need to see some type of drawings before we.
Well, he said he got them.
Is that
You got
something,
'em?
is that something we can do between now and 2:00?
If he's willing to
We need
submit
to
a
get-
permit application.
The reason I'm saying that, we could put it on the add-on, we wanna do a
Well,
deal.
it's not something I don't think you vote on quite yet.
No, I would need to get with legal, to make sure we have everything lined up.
We got 2 hours, man.
So- Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Once we do, can we have a special meeting?
Yeah.
Tom's right there.
Hey,
Don't
once
take long
we
with some
get
up.
that, can we have a special meeting and go ahead and vote on it?
Yeah.
Why can't we
I
vote
mean, I
on
don't
it
think-
today
I don't see
contingent
why
upon,
You can make it now, yeah.
Why don't we do it now and then like,
Let us
Rec-
work with
make
them.
it now, retro it, that, everything is,
Let me just interject. If a mechanic or anybody submits plans to comply with ordinance, they get a permit to start that process of construction. I think what we're really talking about, do we want to give someone like Mr. Gannick, who can start operating a business, but is still in the process of building that facility to accommodate our ordinance? Are we going to allow them temporarily to operate? That's the only question. And if you want to put that on your agenda and say, yes, we want to do that, then let's do it. And it's not on your agenda now, you got to vote unanimous, all that stuff. But if you say, yes, we want to give people who comply with the ordinance as far as submitting the plans necessary to get their permit to get started, but yet give them the temporary permit to operate while they're
Applying.
to get it appliance?
We've done that before through litigation where we have had someone that was not in compliance, we filed our suit saying you're not in compliance, they come to court and they work with the staff to get into compliance, and we give them time to do that. So we did it indirectly through the legal process. So you can do that as well, just through the practical process. And then at some point, you may want to say, what is an acceptable temporary period? 12 months, 18 months, you may say it's reviewable every 6 months. And then let the staff decide if there's progress being made, you can extend it another temporary 6 months, but if there's not progress being made, then we need to come back to you all for direction. So just an idea.
But he can come in and start selling groceries.
You can do what you got to do.
If whomever it is, and I don't want to pick on John, but whomever it is, because it applies to everybody, if they provide the appropriate plans and specs to get their permit, so the permit department signs off, yes, this is an acceptable plan, that person can then get a temporary permit to go ahead and start operating business. Typically, John's just a step ahead of the game. He already has a facility that he can, in theory, start operating. Most people don't have that facility, so they're building as they go, so they can't really operate on the building.
And this wouldn't be called a variance,
No, it'd just be, he would get a permit,
a temporary permit?
he would get a permit to start construction, just like anybody else would. The only thing you're allowing is him to start operating before he completes that.
Completes construction.
Yeah.
And anybody
And we can do that, we can
As
add that
long as
part on
that
today.
As long as that applies to everybody, that's
Exactly.
perfectly
It's
fine.
just that John's in an unusual situation. He has something that he could probably start fairly quickly before the actual construction of compliance would be completed.
That variance, when you say variance, is a very ugly
It's not a
word.
variance.
Yeah, it's a temporary permit. Same thing a bank gives you when you're building a house.
Yes.
I'd like to add that onto the agenda.
Yeah.
And if they're ready by 2 o'clock, we'll vote on it. If they're not, we'll table it till next week.
Well, we can,
We can do a contingent upon approval.
yeah.
I mean,
Let's
that way
vote.
they don't have to come back to us.
Yeah, you can say contingent upon complying with the permit process of getting the appropriate plans to them. If they approve the permit, then he or anybody would be allowed to start operating while they're
Okay.
attempting to comply with the, and
Right.
those,
Okay.
according to those plans.
We're all in agreement?
And encourage, and encourage
You can add
anybody else
Yeah.
that's
Hey,
thinking
anybody
about
else,
building
yeah.
a building.
Yeah, there's other ones.
To come on in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to add, once you do pull a permit, that permit is good for 6 months, so we can review it.
In 6 months,
Right.
making sure
Yeah.
they progress.
So let's add that on if y'all don't mind.
Good.
Because we want to
Make sure- add
encourage
that to the
business to come
agenda.
in.
Well, not only that, we
Maybe,
gotta,
maybe an avenue for them to come in.
Y'all vote on it at the beginning and the add-on, we'll work with Tom, to see if it needs to be a resolution or what exactly. It might look like something like you're doing for the travel trailers, but just to make sure, I don't know if anybody heard Lee say it, but it is something that applies to all businesses equally, parish-wide. And it's gonna be a part of our recovery plan, so we'll definitely vote on it at 2.
Okay.
Okay.
Anybody got anything else? Nope. Anything? Oh, good? Anybody out there? Meeting adjourned, man.
Lee, you don't